It is a Wednesday edition of Orange and Blue Today. That means Cecil, Lammey, Andrew Mason, Denver Broncos getting ready for the Tennessee Titans and getting ready for the 2025 season, Mace, with an announcement with more captains this year.
Yeah, more captains, more leadership. You think this is one of those kind of, it's newsy to talk about the captains.
Right.
It's probably a little, I'd say that probably more is made of them than really matters. It's just an interesting talking point for today.
Yeah, and it is the news item of the day. We have other news items from practice that we will get to. But the Broncos announced the captains. You probably could have guessed most of them, but I kind of like a couple of them that we'll talk about to kick things off in today's program. And you see the one on the right there, Talanoa Hufanga. Mace, let's start there. For him to come in to show that leadership ability right off the get-go on his new team, I'm quite excited and happy that he's named a captain for the Denver Broncos.
Says a lot about him. Says a lot about what he's brought to that locker room right away.
For sure.
That he got voted as a team captain. I like the fact that they just went ahead and named more team captains than they did last year. Just kind of spreading it around. I mean, yeah, it's not a hard and fast number. I mean, you can name 3, you can name 8. I mean, you could probably name 10 if you wanted to. Just have more patches, right? I mean, who cares?
Right.
But I think it certainly says a lot about the impact that he's made. Teammates have talked about that, what he's brought in here. So that makes some sense. I actually thought it was probably the more newsworthy that DJ Jones got the nod, because I mean we see the kind of vocal leadership that Hufanga provides. Even though he's a newcomer, personality-wise, Hufanga being a captain, that wasn't really a surprise. I think DJ Jones was maybe the one that wasn't quite expected, but on that defensive line, in a group that's got some high wattage personalities, like Malcolm Roach is a character in that room. John Franklin Myers is a character. The fact that DJ Jones earned that nod from his teammates, I think says a lot about the esteem in which he's regarded in the locker room as well. And he's one of those guys that he doesn't say a lot publicly, but inside that locker room has become one of the more respected presences over the course of now his 4th season in the team. And of course he re-signed with the team in the offseason.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where I don't think enough people talk about DJ Jones. Now, you and I talk about everything. We talk a lot about this team, but just from a public standpoint, whether it's fans or radio or whatever, it's like, no, DJ Jones, his contributions are quite significant on this team, full of ballers on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. And they probably, I mean, you had 4 captains named on the defensive side, because Alex Singleton got it again and Pat Surtain got it again. So 4 of your starting 11 were named captains.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool for this team that I think, while the offense kind of gets going, Mace, the defense can lead the way. And certainly if we look at their early season matchups with the Colts and the Titans, kind of work out the kinks offensively and let those captains on defense lead the way.
Well, for now, the defense is going to have to kind of guide the Broncos, and at least, especially while they're settling in with wide zone, the Broncos may have to win a couple of games more defensively and offensively, and that's fine. You just hope that the new additions, specifically Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, provide what they need to. Of course, Dre Greenlaw brings you to the other news of the day, and that is that Dre Greenlaw did not practice today.
Yes.
So
It is Wednesday.
Yeah.
We usually wait until Friday to make that final judgment, but it's certainly not the news that you wanted to kick things off. I mean, it's week one. We're hyped. We're ready to go. And then you're out at practice today, and Dre Greenlaw isn't out there performing.
Yeah. Not out there with the rest of his teammates. A DNP for Dre Greenlaw on Wednesday. One of two DNPs because, of course, Nate Adkins is still out. Two DNPs on the primary roster. Reese Taylor on the practice squad is also sidelined as well. So that, given that he had been working steadily and we'd seen him getting team period reps going back to the week heading into the New Orleans preseason game, that's when they started ramping him. They started ramping him up in individual work the week before. And then he was getting plenty of team period work starting with that New Orleans preseason week. He didn't play in that game, but he did get plenty of work the week before. So you can't help but think that that's a little bit of a step back that he's not out there on Wednesday. Now, that being said, it is the full pad day on Wednesday. That it was full pads for the Broncos practice. And to kind of just provide a refresher here, you are allowed no more than one full pad practice per week during the regular season. And then you can't even have a full pad practice every week. Actually, you get to the last 6 weeks of the season, and you can only have, I believe it's 3 full pad practices in the last 6 weeks of the regular season. You're even further limited on this toward the end of the campaign. So right now you can have one full pad practice every week. So I'm curious to see that whether this was simply a function of wanting to hold him back for the most physical of the practices. Certainly in terms of game plan, game prep, the most important practices for him to be out there are typically Thursday and Friday. This is the most physical practice, so that's why just because he's a DNP on Wednesday does not mean they're not tracking for him to play on Sunday, but something now that we have to watch and monitor very closely.
Right, and it's one of those things we've seen it time and time again. DNP Wednesday, limited Thursday, maybe even limited Friday, maybe full on Friday. So again, It's not what you wanted, but we still got a couple of days.
If you see DNP Wednesday, limited Thursday, full Friday, that's tracking toward playing on Sunday. That would definitely be going in the right direction. I think you'd feel pretty good about his chances of playing on Sunday. If it's DNP limited, then probably a little more nervous. If it's DNP limited, then that's a little shaky. So
Right. So what they get rid of? They got rid of probable, right?
They got rid of
questionable or doubtful. So no more probable.
I think they got rid of doubtful.
Okay. So everybody's just questionable?
Yes.
Okay, well, we're left to guess then and see what the case is with these players. And with Dre Greenlaw, much like I've said about J.K. Dobbins and Mace, you want to throw Ingram in this too. Get me healthy, get those guys healthy at the end of the season, beginning of the season, if there's some ramp-up period, if there's a snap count, even for Alex Singleton. If there's some sort of snap count, Sean Payton's kind of alluded to this of like, okay, they may not get everything out there, and it's where you can look to a Justin Sternod, who I think, when Riley Moss is healthy, Justin Sternod looks better. So there's a bit of confidence in Sternod, comparatively speaking to what he used to be out there years ago. I think we can have some confidence there that if there is a ramp-up period, that's okay.
Well, I mean, it's not ideal. You don't want that for an extensive length of time, but if there's a game where you could say, okay, you could ride with a less than optimal combination at inside linebacker, you'd like to think it would be this first game.
Right.
I mean, not that you want to mail this in by any means, and certainly one thing that I heard in the locker room quite a bit today was fast start, fast start, fast start. Very much on players' minds heading into this week is trying to get out of the blocks much faster than they did the previous 2 years. They were 0-2 last year, of course. The year before that, they were 0-3 and then 1-5. And last year, they caught up and made the playoffs. 2023, of course, managed to eke their way back above 500 for a moment. Remember, they were 1-5 and they got to 6-5 there, going down to Houston in early December. Gave themselves a chance, but ultimately faded. And certainly a faster start. And remember, they opened with those first two games at home in 2023 against the Raiders and Washington. And that was an opportunity squandered for those Broncos. Because they finished 8-9. For all that was askew about that Broncos team with Russell Wilson at quarterback, that was still a team that was very close to being 10-7, losing a couple of tight games at home in the first couple of weeks. Had they started just a little bit better, the outcome of that season could have been markedly different. And so I think that's part of why you hear fast start over and over again. You know, they could have been a playoff team 2 years ago, and last year they might not have been sweating so much close to the end if they'd had a little bit better start. I mean, Jonathan Cooper was referencing the Steelers game at home last year. The Broncos lost as one that they considered winnable at home, week 2, that they let slip through their fingers because they were slow out of the blocks.
Yep. Get them while you can, and get them, because if you look over the schedule, Mace, I mean, there's some soft spots, you know what I mean? Jets, Giants. There's some soft spots a little bit later on, but really this schedule's pretty brutal. And it starts in week 3, essentially.
Yeah, and you know, maybe the Cowboy game in October is a little bit softer because Micah Parsons got traded. But then that made December all the rougher because now you have that stretch where you go at the Raiders, Packers, Jaguars, which is one of those games that you think should be okay at home, but the Jaguars are one of those teams that's kind of hard to figure, and they're kind of a wild card going into this season.
Completely.
They could be anything. I mean, it really it depends on how quickly Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence mesh and how quickly they figure out how to use Travis Hunter. And if those things come together quickly, that becomes a tougher game. And then, of course, right after that is Kansas City on Christmas night. So at minimum, I think you're looking at 3 of those 4 games being difficult because that's a Raider game in Las Vegas. So that, you know, December offers challenges enough to where you want to be putting those acorns away immediately. And that's why you want to get this thing off to a pretty fast start.
Yeah, squirrel those things away. And now that you mentioned Jacksonville being kind of the mystery box, so mystery box could be anything, even a boat.
You know, I've always wanted a boat. We'll take the box.
Yeah, I just want the Broncos in the playoffs, and with the shot to advance to the Super Bowl, we know that health status and the cohesion of this offense is what we're going to be looking for. And in week 1, you know, you feel pretty good about Tennessee, but that's kind of an unknown with Cam Ward, a rushing quarterback. We'll get into this more in our game preview, but like this defense has a real challenge, even though he's a rookie, even though you could have 3 picks against him or whatever. Just the unknown with that athletic profile of Cam Ward is something that's a bit of a concern.
Limited film, obviously,
Right.
as a pro. Sean Payton has talked about how you got to go back and look at the college tape of him. But, I mean, even then, schematically, there's only but so much you can get. So, and the the threat that he poses with his legs, that's something that everyone's got to think about. It means that if you're safety, linebacker, you've got to keep an eye on him, what he can. You've got to keep one eye on the backfield, one eye on coverage. So it just gives you another layer of challenge. But that being said, a young quarterback, you have the opportunity to confuse him coverage wise, and that's something you think about going in, that you can do things to rattle him. You can do things to confuse him and force him to throw where you want him to throw, where he doesn't want him to throw. Where he doesn't want to throw. Rookie, this is where there may be some games where you can't get the ball thrown in Pat Surtain's direction very often. But against a rookie quarterback, here's a game where you perhaps can get the ball in PS2's direction and can set him up for a big play going back the other way.
Looking forward to it. It is Orange and Blue today here on a Wednesday. Before we continue our conversation about this team and the news stories of the day, let's hear a word from our sponsor.
Today's episode of Orange and Blue Today is presented by Ramos Law, the official injury law firm partner of the Denver Broncos. Ramos Law was founded by Dr. Joseph Ramos, an attorney and ER doctor, to provide exceptional care to those injured in accidents. With a unique understanding of both medicine and law, the Ramos Law team is built to fight for you every step of the way. Experience the Ramos Law difference. Contact them today at ramoslaw.com.
I heard a rumor, Mace.
Okay.
Kevin Kistner asked you about the jerseys? Because our chat room is asking, like, what jerseys are they going to wear?
Everyone wants to know. And I'm trying to get to the bottom of why there has not been a jersey tweet, a jersey schedule announcement sent out.
What's the normal schedule for that? I'm not the jersey
usually
guy,
usually it comes out in August, and Damani Leach even said an announcement would be coming soon when he met media on the second day of training camp, and well, it's been over a month, and what we need is the gif of Judge Smales and Caddyshack saying, well, we're waiting. Yes, nothing. Yeah, nothing. Now, what we do know is the Broncos will not wear white jerseys on Sunday.
Titans
because
going
the Titans have announced they're wearing white on white.
And white socks, everything. It's all white.
Yuck. Yeah, the white pants with the white socks, gross. The unitard look, terrible.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily a fan of the Titans colorway either, but still, like, we know Broncos aren't wearing white. Yeah. So what does that mean they're wearing?
Probably orange. Well, here's what I would say. If they were going to wear white helmets, we would have seen them in practice.
Yes.
So guessing it's going to be, would assume blue helmets. I would assume orange jerseys. I mean, I guess they could wear blue now that you can kind of mix things up helmet-wise and jersey-wise. But so I'm assuming orange jerseys, blue helmets, and then it's just a matter of, what color pants, right?
Which was the combination Greg didn't like?
The orange jerseys, blue pants that they wore against the Chargers last year. And to me, it's the oddness of a lighter color over darker pants. I think it would look better if they went blue over orange, which, I mean, if you look at Syracuse University wears that from time to time. I think if you were going to go for a blue-orange look, the blue jerseys and orange pants would be more palatable than the orange over blue. I think orange over blue is something we won't see again for a great while.
Right.
Yeah, right. That was a little much.
It's an interesting combination, that's for sure. Now we look at jersey numbers that change. Jahdae Barron at 23. And by the way, the depth chart thing, we're not going to do hot take radio stuff, but like Jahdae Barron is behind Jaquan McMillan because McMillan is a veteran and McMillan is a third. He's a damn fine third corner, and Jahdae Barron's going to move all over the formation. I feel similarly. It's not a Commander show, but Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt was the fourth running back for the Commanders. Okay, yeah, fine. Alvin Kamara was the third running back on the Saints depth chart when the season opened. I'm not into depth chart, disaster. Like, no, Jahdae Barron's going to make plays for this team, and Jaquan McMillan is too.
I mean, the other interesting thing was Tyler Bidet listed as third running back ahead of Jaleel McLaughlin, but kickoff return, Jaleel listed ahead of Tyler Bidet. So those are interesting. What that, I think, maybe tells me is kind of what you and I have said. If something happens to RJ Harvey or J.K. Dobbins, Bidet slides into one of those spots. But does this mean that Jaleel gets the jersey because he's the second kickoff returner who aligns next to Marvin Mims Jr.? That's what, if we're taking anything from those two things, that's potentially what we could take. I think we'll get clarity on Sunday, but that was the combination of those two things I thought was probably the most interesting thing on the depth chart to me. And also Alex Palczewski being listed as the backup at both guard spots, not at tackle. Frank Crum is your backup at right tackle. Matt Parrott is your backup at left tackle. That was interesting too.
Yeah.
So Palcho is your swing guard now, based on that.
Damn, he's valuable.
That was interesting.
He is valuable. He's a valuable player. You want to keep that guy around in any way you possibly can.
Yeah.
So not depth chart drama, but depth chart interest, some interesting things there.
Well, the other thing on Palcho being the swing backup at guard is, given how he played last year at tackle, which was he made a very nice acquittal of himself, does that change the dynamic potentially if Ben Powers struggles as the wide zone principles are further installed into the offense? Because Palcho can come in and start and play well. It's at a different position, but still, we know playing every down is not too big for Palcho,
right?
Based on last year. So not something to watch for the moment, something maybe down the line to consider, maybe even consider for next year in terms of future planning for the Broncos. So I'd say put that in the back of your mind.
Yep. And what's it come down to with these coaching staffs? Trust.
Yeah.
Palcho's a guy you can trust.
They trust him.
Outside, you can just trust him.
Yeah.
Like Sean Payton trusts Will Lutz, because Will Lutz is a captain. Shocker.
Well, I said this today just while practice was going on. Said Sean Payton went through an average of one kicker a year while in his first decade on the Saints job. And then he gets Will Lutz. And aside from the year that Lutz was injured, Lutz has been his kicker. So he went from somebody who just went through kickers like socks, and then Lutz ended that. So, I mean, it was Sean Payton with kickers was like the Broncos with quarterbacks in the post-Peyton Manning era. It was carousel. And then Lutz was able to handle the ups and downs that go with kicking for Sean Payton. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, but if you can handle it, he loves you.
Yeah. Thomas Morstead, as a punter, same thing. Was drafted by Sean Payton, and once he got going and figured it out, he was Sean Payton's punter for a dozen years. So the thing is, most head coaches, they view their kickers and punters like turning on the light switch. They just flick it and they expect it to be there. They expect it to be reliable, and that's what they want. They don't want to have to think about it. Just like you don't think about turning the lights on, right? You just expect it to be there. And then, you only notice it when, oh, they didn't turn on. What happened? We have a power outage. What's
Right.
going on here? So, anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
Mace, we'll be watching this. I've seen some Jeffrey Simmons stuff come across the old timeline of him saying Bo Nix is going to take off to run if the first read isn't there. Okay. Tennessee, we'll just keep thinking that. And we will have a Saturday show for you, by the way, a game preview, as we continue to monitor what this team is going to be and how they're going to perform. But I'm so ready for the games to be here because we've heard it all, Mace. We've said it all and we've heard it all.
We can only talk but so much. That's the thing.
Right.
You can only say but so much and blather but so much. And especially once we got through training camp, you get through the end of training camp and then the end of preseason, and those 2 weeks, you just kind of got to stretch it out, right? It's like, hurry up and get to the game. Well, here we are. As Milhouse would say, when are we going to get to the fireworks factory? Well, we're about to arrive. So,
yes, we are about
bring
to
it on.
arrive. And by the way, the chat room has much love for Denver Football After Dark. So, Andrew
wow.
Mason,
People are watching that too. That's pretty cool.
people are watching that as well. So, our audience, they love you, Mace. They love you.
They
And
can't
we
get
love them.
enough.
Yeah. Little.
Thank you.
Denver Football After Dark is a great way to finish off your day watching
Or
here
start
on
your
YouTube.
day, because it comes on after people go to bed. So what people
What,
watch
you
it in the
working
morning.
graveyard?
Yeah. Or if you're not working graveyard, you wake up to it. So whatever.
Okay,
It's
there you go.
it's a good vibe for either going to sleep or waking up in the morning, I think.
Yeah,
So-
there you go. Sharon says Mace can always talk football. Exactly.
Yeah. Can talk food too. You can check out my review of the Broncos' new food items down at the stadium. That's on the Denver Sports Facebook channel, as well as on my Twitter and on my YouTube as well. So check
What was
that out.
the Doritos dust? What was the thing you were eating
It
that
was,
had the dust on it?
It was it was a sausage. It was like a different kind of. It was like a jalapeno sausage kind of thing, and it had some flaming hot Cheetos kind of crumbled up and dusted on the top. It was really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now you're making me hungry. So we will tie a bow on today's program and, of course, be reporting on what happens on Thursday and Friday and our Saturday pregame show, Denver Football After Dark. You do not want to miss that. And all of our offerings here, Mace. We just asked for a few things to help us out here on YouTube. What are they?
Like,
Comment,
share,
subscribe,
hit that notification bell.
so that you never
Miss
vid.
vid.
That's right. He is Andrew Mason. You follow him on all the socials at Mace Denver. I am at Cecil Lammey saying OBT's BFD. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. And would you please, as always, stay frosty?